Today at 6, history for Team GB cyclist Laura Kenny becoming Britain's most successful female Olympian ever after taking gold in Tokyo. Alongside Katie Archibald, she wins the Madison event in the velodrome, her third gold in consecutive Olympic Games.
Just to have Katie there the whole time, I feel like I'm racing with a sister, and I couldn't have done it if we didn't have that relationship.
And the stunning fight back from Team GB's Kate French sees her win in the modern pentathlon. But agony for Britain's men's sprinters, pipped to gold in the 4x100 metre relay in a photo finish. Also on the programme. Northern Ireland becomes the first of the home nations to begin vaccinating 16 and 17-year-olds. Energy costs will rise for millions in October as the price cap on some tariffs goes up.
I know a lot of families, they're strictly on the line, aren't they? So even a £20 is a lot of money, isn't it? It's a food for the week, isn't it?
Wildfires threaten the suburbs of Athens. Thousands are forced to leave their homes. And despite a huge petition, no reprieve for Geronimo the alpaca, due to be put down, having bovine TB.
Coming up on Sports Day later in the hour on the BBC News channel, still no athletics golds for Team GB, but relief for Laura Muir, who's won her first outdoor global medal.
Good evening and welcome to the BBC News at 6. The cyclist Laura Kenny has become Britain's most successful female Olympic athlete after she and her teammate Katie Archibald won the women's Madison event in the velodrome at the Tokyo Olympics. They dominated the 120-lap race, winning 10 of the 12 sprints. Kenny has now taken gold in 3 consecutive Olympic Games. Our sports correspondent Natalie Perks now reports on a historic achievement.
Two special athletes who complemented each other beautifully.
When 9 years of brilliance culminates in one record-breaking moment. Joy for Katie Archibald, history for Laura Kenny, the first British woman to win gold at 3 successive Olympics. The Madison was a new Olympic event for women, requiring tactics, endurance and speed, something this dream team have in abundance.
So away we go.
But this lengthy relay race with a slingshot twist is a game of jeopardy.
A little bit caught in the traffic and the Dutch are down, the Dutch are down.
Britain, meanwhile, was sailing serenely, winning sprint after sprint. And with 20 laps left, it was Britain's to lose.
Great Britain extraordinarily claim maximum points yet again.
Winning 10 out of 12 sprints with a 43-point margin, this wasn't merely a victory, it was an annihilation.
They haven't put a foot wrong. They have dominated the race from start to finish.
Gold in Tokyo, the cherry on the top of the gold Katie Archibald won in Rio.
I feel like I'm racing with a sister, and I couldn't have done it if we didn't have that relationship. I'm just so glad. Like Katie said, I've never wanted to win a race so badly in all my life, and that was the one.
Well, that gold here in Japan makes Laura Kenny the most successful female cyclist of all time from any nation. And she joins Sir Steve Redgrave and Sir Bradley Wiggins on 5 golds. She's not done yet, though, and she'll go for her 6th on Sunday to match Sir Chris Hoy and her husband, Jason Kenny. First, though, there's some time for reflection.
Gold medal is going to go to Laura Trott.
When she burst on the scene as Laura Trott in 2012, it was hard to believe she'd been born 6 weeks prematurely with a collapsed lung. 2 golds in the Omnium and the team pursuit in London were swiftly followed by 2 more in the same events in Rio. Laura Trott became Laura Kenny when she married Jason shortly after Rio. A year later, their son Albie was born. Through the beautiful chaos of becoming a mother to delivering a masterclass in composure today, Britain's most successful female Olympian isn't going anywhere yet.
She has a long career ahead of her still. This isn't, we're talking as if this is the end of her career, her last games. It's not, she'll be in Paris. She could even be in 2 or 3 games beyond now.
Jack Carlin claims the bronze medal.
Bronze for Jack Carling in the men's sprint made this a successful day for Britain in the velodrome. And after 120 laps of biking bedlam, this now familiar step to the top of the podium became a coronation. The Madison's first female Olympic champions, and perhaps our first sight of Dame Laura Kenny. Natalie Perks, BBC News, Tokyo.
Team GB's athletes on the track have had a good day too. Laura Muir won silver in the 1500 metres, and there was a silver in the men's 4x100 metre relay, with Britain just losing out in a photo finish to Italy. And there was a bronze medal for the women in their sprint relay. Our sports editor Dan Rowan watched all the action, beginning with Team GB's Kate French, who took gold in the modern pentathlon.
One of the Olympics' toughest and most curious events, the modern pentathlon features a variety of disciplines.
Representing Great Britain.
Sitting 6th after the fencing round, Britain's Kate French stayed in contention during the swimming and then excelled at the show jumping, with competitors asked to ride a horse selected at random and given just 20 minutes to become familiar with the animal. With that scuppering some rivals' chances, French sealed victory in the final round, a combination of running and shooting, becoming Britain's second Olympic champion in the event.
Kate French, the new Olympic champion here in Tokyo 2020.
I actually don't know what just happened. I can't really believe it right now. I knew I could do it if I just focused on my shooting and ran as hard as I could. Yeah.
That was Team GB's 18th gold and 55th medal of what is becoming an increasingly successful Games here in Tokyo. But at this stage, their track and field athletes have only delivered 2 medals. Here at the National Stadium this evening, however, there was the prospect of some more. Having chosen to focus purely on the 1500 metres here, Laura Muir knew this was her chance to reach the podium on such a stage for the first time. And in the best performance of her career, the Scot proved too strong for world champion Sifan Hassan, overtaking her with 200 metres to go. No one was catching defending champion Faith Kipyegon, but a brilliant run ensured Muir took silver and smashed the British record. The relief at ending her near-decade-long quest for a major medal clear to see.
Oh, I worked so hard for so long. Yeah.
In the 4x100 metre women's relay, the British quartet, including Dina Asher-Smith, had high hopes after breaking the national record in the semi-final. Favourites Jamaica dominated, but Team GB did manage bronze, a repeat of their performance in Rio. But the most thrilling drama was still to come. Richard Kilty running a storming third leg to put Britain on course for gold in the men's 4x100. But in one of the most dramatic endings to a relay race, Nathaniel Mitchell-Blake was overtaken on the line by Italy's Filippo Tortu. Replays showing Team GB had been pipped to gold by just 1/100th of a second.
We were unlucky, but this is unity, this is a team, we're in this together, and we absolutely pulled it out as a quartet and everyone behind the scene to win an Olympic silver medal. And in 20 years' time, when we're old and retired, we'll look back at this night as one of the best of our lives.
No gold here then, but still a successful night for Britain's athletes, whether at middle distance or the sprints, showing they can mix it with the best. Dan Rowan, BBC News, Tokyo.
There have been other standout performances by Team GB, and with a roundup, here's Andy Swiss.
Rarely has bronze been quite so brilliant. For the third Games running, a medal for Britain's women's hockey team. But my, they had to work for it. They had been trailing India, but in the nick of time, they turned it round.
Yes, they found the goal!
Grace Balsden's goal securing a 4-3 win. And after a difficult few years for the team, it was all the sweeter.
If you'd asked me a couple of months ago, would we come away with Olympic bronze, I think I would have laughed at you. I think this last cycle has been so tough. We have stuck together and we've come out with an Olympic bronze medal.
In the boxing, meanwhile, former taxi driver Lauren Price is en route to glory after she battled through her middleweight semi-final. Price, who's played football for Wales, is now guaranteed at least silver. And just listen to what it meant.
What's Tom making now?
Elsewhere, the return of Britain's most famous knitter. Tom Daley says it helps him stay sane, but there was nothing woolly about his diving as he eased into the individuals semi-finals. But heading in the other direction, the athlete dubbed Spider Woman, Polish speed climber Alexandra Miroslav, setting a new world record. She scaled a 15-metre wall in just 6.84 seconds. The race to the top just doesn't get any quicker. Andy Swiss, BBC News.
And at the end of day 14, Team GB has moved into 4th position in the medals table with 18 golds. Tomorrow is the penultimate day of the Games with 34 medals up for grabs, including the women's marathon. Now, the number of daily coronavirus cases has gone up slightly again. There were nearly 32,000 new infections in the latest 24-hour period. But that makes an average of 26,500 new cases per day over the last 7 days, so the longer-term trend is still down. 92 deaths were recorded in the last 24 hours. That's an average of 85 a day in the past week. The number of people in hospital with COVID is now 5,631. Nearly 89% of adults in the UK have had their first jab, and nearly 74% are now fully vaccinated. Well, the longer-term trend for coronavirus infection rates has been down across the UK, except in Northern Ireland, where case numbers are rising, according to the Office for National Statistics. Whilst England has launched a new campaign encouraging young adults to get their jabs, Northern Ireland has now become the first of the home nations to start vaccinating 16 and 17-year-olds. Here's our health editor, Hugh Pym.
A UK first, the start of vaccinations for all 16 and 17-year-olds. In Northern Ireland, teenagers in that age group came forward just 2 days after experts gave the go-ahead for the extension of the programme.
Yeah, I just want everything back to normal. You're going to have to get it, so might as well just get it now.
At this theatre school in Lincoln, those we spoke to said they were thinking hard about it. Invitations to 16 and 17-year-olds to get jabbed in England, Scotland and Wales are going out from today.
We talk about vaccine quite a lot, mainly because some people are quite not sure whether to get it or not. I've seen things like online and things like that, but at the end of the day, I think they know what's right, and I'm happy to get it.
Say if I wanted to go on holiday with my mates, I will have the vaccine. I'm not going to miss out just because I haven't had the vaccine.
Don't miss out is the message in a new drive in England to boost take-up of the vaccine among 18 to 30-year-olds. With reminders that to get into nightclubs from late September, proof of being double jabbed will be required. The venues themselves will be promoting those messages. This central London nightclub, Heaven, is even hosting a pop-up vaccination site on Sunday. It'll be open right through from 12 noon till 9 in the evening. The aim still to reduce the spread of the virus. The Office for National Statistics survey of community infections, which covers people with and without symptoms, showed the first fall in UK cases last week since early May. In England, 1 in 75 people had the virus. In Scotland, 1 in 120. In Wales, 1 in 230, all of which were down. But in Northern Ireland, it was 1 in 55, an increase, though experts said the Delta variant spread later than elsewhere.
Rates are still relatively high in many parts of the country, but I would have to say that the evidence very much is of a decline everywhere. I'm expecting a continued decline, not, I would suggest, incredibly steep, but I think we will see a continued decline.
But he added things might change in September after the holiday season. Public health experts say levels of the Delta variant can remain high, even in people who are vaccinated, while still offering strong protection against serious illness. Another reminder, there's still much to learn about COVID and its spread. Hugh Pym, BBC News.
The First Minister of Wales, Mark Drakeford, has confirmed most coronavirus restrictions in the country will end tomorrow, but he warned the changes must not lead to a free-for-all. Our correspondent Howell Griffith is in Cardiff for us. Howell, case rates in Wales have been falling for a while now, yet easing has been slow. Why the caution?
Well, Clive, the Welsh Government's never had a Freedom Day in its diary. Its approach throughout the last 17 months has been, well, super cautious, some would say slower than other administrations. And while the COVID case rates here have been lower and the vaccination rates have been higher than other UK nations for a few months, even tomorrow's big change comes with a significant health warning that this pandemic is still far from over.
Month after month of measure after measure. Finally, the time has come in Wales for life almost without limits. From tomorrow, this restaurant can go back to full capacity. Here, face masks won't be mandatory. But Carmine thinks it may take a while for his customers to feel comfortable with the old ways.
People, they lost their confidence how to approach somebody else and talk and maybe shake a hand. Something that, you know, it's been forbidden for so long.
Wales is moving to alert level 0, but that doesn't equal 0 restrictions. Masks will still be needed in shops and on public transport, and the call for caution remains.
Alert level 0 does not mean the end of coronavirus, and it very certainly does not mean a free-for-all here in Wales.
So the pandemic is still with us, but in Wales the pingdemic may be over. From tomorrow, adults who've had a double dose of vaccine and the under 18s no longer need to self-isolate if they've been in contact with someone who's tested positive for COVID. So how to celebrate? This nightclub can reopen tomorrow after a 17-month shutdown, longer than venues over the border in England.
All the businesses have suffered exactly the same. So why have England managed to be able to start making profit and moving again 3 weeks earlier than us?
Throughout the pandemic, Wales has unlocked at its own pace. Ministers hope people won't rush into using their newfound freedom. Howell Griffith, BBC News, Cardiff.
It is 16 minutes past 6. Our top story for you this evening. And history for Team GB cyclist Laura Kenny becoming Britain's most successful female Olympian ever after winning gold in Tokyo. And it's another milestone for England's Jimmy Anderson in the first test against India.
Coming up in Sports Day in the next 15 minutes on the BBC News channel, Manchester City have already bought Jack Grealish for £100 million. They'll have to top that to land Harry Kane, but they say they are interested in signing the Spurs striker.
Energy prices will rise for millions of people in October after the regulator said the price cap for some energy tariffs must go up to cover suppliers' extra costs. It's the biggest ever increase in the price cap since its introduction 2 years ago and is set twice a year, affecting around 15 million households. The typical gas and electricity customer on the standard variable rate is likely to see their bill go up by £139 to £1,277 a year. Here's our Consumer Affairs correspondent, Coletta Smith.
The Burton clan are letting their hair down. Alison and Ashley are here with their mum and 9 of the kids.
Come on then.
But days out don't come cheap.
It costs you a fortune to do a lot with them, yeah.
Especially when you've got a big family as well, you know.
After spending extra through the summer holidays, things always get tight in the autumn.
You live and you work to pay your bills and, you know, that's how it goes.
So the thought of even more on their energy bill is a scary one.
You never hear any good news about it going down. We only ever hear about it going up. Yeah.
Is that how it feels?
Yeah, that is definitely how it feels, yeah.
And that's what will be happening from the 1st of October. The regulator says it's only fair that energy companies are allowed to raise prices. This will impact everyone on prepayment meters or the default standard variable tariffs. That's half of all households in Britain.
The price cap was introduced to put a limit on those really expensive rates at the top end to make sure that we're not being ripped off. But it hasn't brought prices down overall. There are still plenty of ups and downs, and it's definitely not the best deal on the market.
But energy companies say it has shielded people from constant rises.
The cost of gas globally has trebled in the last 12 months. If it weren't for the price cap, it might add as much as another £200, £300 to bills compared to where we are today.
With plenty of people still expecting to be working from home in the autumn, fuel costs are going to start racking up. Citizens Advice say nearly 2 million households are already behind on their energy bills.
We're particularly concerned for people on universal credit. The government's planning to cut their benefit by £20 a week in the autumn, so they're going to be facing a perfect storm of rising energy bills and a decrease in their universal credit payments.
With another 2 months to go until prices go up, there's still time to shop around for a better deal. Coletta Smith, BBC News in Warrington.
A severe heat wave has caused huge wildfires in Greece, with strong winds fanning the flames. Thousands of people have been moved from their homes in the northern suburbs of Athens. There are extreme fire warnings covering many areas, and the Prime Minister says his country is in the midst of an unprecedented environmental crisis. Well, our correspondent Bethany Bell is in Athens for us now. Bethany, just how difficult is it for the authorities to get to grips with these fires?
It's a very, very difficult situation. Where I am here, there's a fire burning behind that mountain behind me, and the fear is that the wind is blowing in the wrong direction, and this suburb where we are now could face the flames quite soon. And since we've been here, we've seen emergency vehicles out warning people to leave their homes. People have packed up their cars to drive away from this area because the authorities have told them it's too dangerous to remain. Some people, though, we spoke to one Greek Orthodox priest. He said, where do we go? Where are we supposed to go? Has the government organised this properly? And at the moment, we've seen aircraft overhead dropping water from the sky to try and quench the flames. But firefighters thought that they had controlled this particular blaze here a couple of days ago, but then it flared up again. And the air at the moment is quite full of acrid smoke and ash. There have been fires throughout mainland Greece and on the island of Evia, and on that island several hundred people were evacuated. They had to get to the beach after the fire rushed through the forests there, and then they were taken to safety by boats, for tourist boats, and the Coast Guard.
OK, Bethany, thank you. Bethany Bell there live in Athens. A woman who left her daughter alone for 6 days, resulting in her starving to death, has been jailed for 9 years. Verfi Kudi admitted the manslaughter of 20-month-old Asia, who she left alone in her flat in Brighton so she could go out to celebrate her 18th birthday in December 2019. There are fears of grade inflation in England and that they could reach new heights when A-level results are published next week, with a former government advisor telling the BBC that almost half of students could get the highest grades. Teachers have been asked to submit assessments for pupils for a second year in a row after this summer's exams were cancelled because of the pandemic. Amid concerns too many could have top grades, ministers have said they'll pay for more places at medical schools. Here's our education editor, Banwan Jeffries.
Quiet now, but next week this college will fill with students. After months of anxious waiting,
all those papers that we had to do.
These sixth formers will get their A-level and BTEC results. They're full of hope, but for Isabel, who wants to study medicine, there's extra pressure.
So I have been really worried about if the university that I want to go to, what if they have too many students, too many people got the right grades? Because that might mean I have to take a gap year or something else.
It's been stressful, exams cancelled, teachers marking work instead.
In the back of my head, I know that I did everything I could to get the grade that I want and the grades that I need. But until obviously I see the results, I will be nervous.
Being a BTEC, we kind of do know what we have got compared to obviously A-levels.
And worries about how their grades will be seen.
If there's a big jump as is expected to be with our grades this year, then that's really only going to exacerbate the issue that lots of people think that A-levels and GCSEs are too easy, and my experience is that they're not really.
This year, grades will be higher overall. That's because they're based on teacher assessments of several pieces of work. It's completely different from a normal exam year, where some students would always have a bad day and do less well than expected.
Schools have been asked to make their own decisions.
John Coles was a top advisor on England's grading system, but he resigned. Today he told me his concerns about A-level grade inflation.
Last year, we know they went up a lot, about a quarter of A-level grades at A&A Star in a normal year. Last year it was very nearly 40%. I think this year we've been expecting it to be higher. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 45 to 50% of A-level grades graded at A to A Star.
For teachers, working out grades has been a huge job. The principal at this college says you have to accept it's different from exams.
It will be slightly higher, I think it's about 4% higher here than last year, then so be it. I think we need to be feeling very positive about the grades that our young people are getting this year and not knocking them somehow because they haven't done examinations.
For each student, their grades are a passport to an apprenticeship or into university. But a way back to results as normal will have to be found after this year's extra places for those who want to be doctors. Bramwyn Jeffries, BBC News.
Downing Street says there are no plans to cancel a decision to put down an alpaca on a farm in Gloucestershire that's twice tested positive for the infectious disease bovine TB. Tens of thousands of people have signed a petition calling for a reprieve for the animal called Geronimo. But a High Court judge has already ruled that he should be put down. The case has led to a debate about the testing methods used to identify bovine TB. With more, here's Andrew Plant.
Geronimo, in quarantine at this Gloucestershire farm for the past 4 years since he was imported from New Zealand. Now, though, he's set to be destroyed after owner Helen lost her fight against his positive tests for TB.
Just frustrating, anxiety, trauma, constant letters backwards and forwards, constant legal options of what do we do. It's taken over my life. All of this was avoidable. We've had 4 years of trying to just sit down and rationally discuss the science. The science is just not there.
Today, Downing Street said they understood how distressing it was to lose an animal, but said everything needed to be done to tackle TB.
If we get a positive, they're under a compulsory slaughter order.
Paul Westerway has to test his 150 cows every 6 months. Last year, 2 were infected among the 40,000 culled because of TB that year.
What do you make of Geronimo the alpaca's plight?
I feel unbelievably sorry for the lady. I feel really sorry for Geronimo. But the law's the law, and a Geronimo, an alpaca can't be more important than a cow. It's an animal, and every one of the owners of those 40,000 cows that had the same fate last year loved them just as much, probably, as the lady loves Geronimo. So I feel really, really sorry for her, but the law's the law.
That law, DEFRA says, is vital and the decisive action that the UK needs to fight the disease. Meanwhile, Helen believes the tests on Geronimo were flawed and is still hoping there's some way her 8-year-old alpaca can be saved. Andrew Plant, BBC News.
There's been rain, runs and wickets on the third day of England's test with India at Trent Bridge. When weather stopped play, England had reached 25 without loss in their second innings, still 70 runs behind India's first innings total of 278. Our sports correspondent Joe Wilson dodged the showers.
There are special techniques required for cricketers touring England. How to hide the bat from drizzle. Very useful this week. Rishabh Pant never keeps his powder dry for long. When he hits the ball to a fielder like this, it's a huge relief. 1 of 5 wickets in the innings for Ollie Robinson. Now, you'll always remember when you watched England's most successful bowler in history, I took you to Trent Bridge. With this wicket, James Anderson moved to the bronze medal position in the all-time list of the world's bowlers. KL Rahul gone finally for 84. But India were well ahead in the match. Ravi Jadeja saw to that. That's a 6.
What a shot that is.
Here comes a 4. And there is a special way he celebrates getting to 50. Wait for it. There. It is never bettered, although sometimes imitated. Good try. And India led by 95. And bowled again. England's second innings began shakily. India perhaps sensed that Dom Sibley was a little fortunate. There's been chat from both sides. Some people will always find a way and a place to play cricket. England was 70 behind when this happened. To pause with the 3 final words. Rain stops play. Joe Wilson, BBC News.
Yeah, cricket and rain. Very English. Time for a look at the weather. Here's Louise Leah. Hi there.
Hi there. Very frustrating, isn't it, the forecast at the moment, and not much change into the weekend. At times, beautiful today, but for many, really torrential downpours. So no al fresco dining, I'm afraid, in Motherwell earlier on today. In fact, most of the rain has been to the far north and west. And if we take a look at what to expect, you can see that most of the showers have been through Scotland, northern England and across the Northern Ireland, with the best of the sunshine further south. But even here, just to keep us on our toes, just when we thought it was safe to go out without an umbrella, along came a sharp shower. That's because the low pressure is still with us. It's going to stay with us through the weekend as well. And this little weather front could enhance some showers through this evening out to the west. So that means showers from the word go into western areas first thing tomorrow. These will gradually push their way steadily eastwards. Blustery winds accompanying those showers. They'll rattle through at quite a pace, but once again they could be heavy with rumbles of thunder. Some eastern areas will dodge some of the showers, but I'm not going to be too clever about it. Pretty miserable day for some. Top temperatures of 15 to 20 degrees. Now, we've still got the low with us into Sunday. It is starting to drift its way eastwards and it's filling, which basically means it's weakening. So hopefully, fingers crossed, fewer showers around on Sunday. There will still be some, particularly to the north and the west, but central and southern parts of England, maybe the far north of Scotland, escaping with some sunshine and as a consequence, hopefully a degree or so warmer as well. We may see temperatures up as high as 21 degrees, 70 Fahrenheit. That's still disappointing for this time of year. Still some showers to come into Monday. What we need is something to cling on to, a glimmer of good news. Here you go, Clive. Here's our glimmer of good news, slightly quieter and drier by Tuesday. There you go.
OK, Louise, thank you for that. Louise Leah there. And the reminder of our top story. It's another successful day at the Olympics for Team GB, including history for cyclist Laura Kenny becoming Britain's most successful female Olympian ever after winning gold in Tokyo. And that's it. So goodbye from me. Now on BBC One, let's join our news teams where you are. Have a very good evening.